All right, how's it going out there? I thought I'd do a quick live for all my Patreon people, all my patrons. I am going to be doing more lives for my patrons. Um, I was not able to do one last weekend. I've got gigs all this weekend. That's why I'm doing one today. I'll get caught up on them, but I'm going to start doing them a couple times a week. And then we'll see how it goes Saturdays, but I'll start scheduling them more ahead of time. But today we're going to look at it's kind of a beginner to intermediate song. It's Bad Moon Rising by Creedence Clearwater Revival. There are two different strums in the song. The chords are relatively easy. Um, the chords are basically D, G, and A, or D, A, and G, which, what kind of progression is that? Well, first off, the song is in the key of D, and the chords are D, A, and G, or D, G, and A. That's a 1-4-5 in the key of D. All right, so it's relatively easy. There are two strums in this song. I'll go through those first. I've already talked about the key, the chords, and all that. And then after I go through the chords and the strums, I'll also talk about the scales and go through those. These, there's two PDFs that are attached in the Patreon. If you're a patron, you can get those right away. But as you see on the PDF, on the first line, there's two different strums. Uh, both very common strums. That first one goes down, down, up, just like that. Why don't I play through it first, and then I'll go through the strums, all right? So... All right, that was one time through. And as you see, there's two different strums there. So let's go through the first strum. And the first strum is the main strum for the song. You've got down, down, up, down. So that goes. So you got down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Then the second strum, we've got down, down, up, right? And it's two different chords for each part of the strum. So it's A and then G. All right, so the A goes down, down, up, down, down, up. The A and the G. Down, down, up on the A, down, down, up on the G. So the count for that is 1, 2, and on A, and then G, it's 3, 4, and. So 1, 2, and is a quarter note and 2/8 notes. And then 3, 4, and on G is also a quarter note and 2/8 notes, right? So that would be the first thing to work on, is if either one of these strums are new or you don't quite have them down yet, you kind of got to work on them one after another. If you don't have them down at all, work on them separately. Just work on that. Work on the other one. But if you have them down a little bit, try to work on both of them in a row next to each other, just the way they're written. Just get used to that. Just like that. It's not a difficult song at all. So basically, the arrangement would be intro, verse. You play the second and third line total of two times, like you repeat it. You see the repeat marks there. Then you've got the chorus. You play through once, and then go back up, start over again. Fairly simple song, not too difficult, but it's really great for beginners. Okay. So, anyone in my Patreon or YouTube that wants to learn this can, but the my patrons, they get the PDFs, right? So, if you'd like to join my Patreon, it is through my link tree, or you can just go to patreon.com/Brian Molen Guitar. All right, it's only $5 a month. That's great. And I'd like to thank all my patrons, definitely, for all the support. Now, let me play through this song one more time and then we'll talk about the scales. Okay. So, and this is more of an electric song, but it's also great on the acoustic. I'm playing the acoustic today. It's a great sing along. Love John Fogerty. All right. All right. There was two times through. If you need to, play it a little bit slower, like that intro when he comes in, that's one of the reasons why that song is so classic, because it just hits pretty hard, pretty rocking song. CCR was such a great band. Now, beyond that, let's talk about the scales that you would use to solo with over the whichever part of the song, but most likely it would be the verse that you play that over. Now you can loop the if you have a looping pedal, you can loop the chords over it and then practice the scales over it. But it's the standard major pentatonic scale. Since the song is in D, we're going to be playing D major pentatonic. And there probably are some ways where you could add in some D minor pentatonic also, but this just fits the song more. So let's go through these. You could also get a backing track and just practice the scales over it. Plenty of backing tracks on YouTube and online, and I'm sure there's a couple for Bad Moon Rising. All right, so we're starting at the 5th fret, and then, these are all very familiar shapes. There is a PDF also for this in my Patreon, so definitely check that out. All right, so let's go through that first one. Starts at the 5th fret, so it's 5th fret, 7th fret, 5th fret, 7th fret, 4th fret, 7th fret, 4th fret, 7th fret, 5th, 7th. All right, notice how I went back to that D to resolve it at the end there. All right, let's go up to the next one. Uh, Something you always want to ask yourself, whatever key you're in, what's the relative minor of the key? What's the relative minor of D? This answers it right here with this next scale. It's B minor, right? So another very common shape. So we've got 7, 10, 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 10, 7, 10. There's that D. All right, next one is your root 4 major for the major pentatonic. You've got 10, 12, 9, 12, 9, 12, 9, 11, 10, 12, 10, 12. There's your D again there. Next one's up at the 14th fret. Now, if you're new to scales, you'll want to practice scales with a quarter note pick, which means you're picking all down on these. I'm doing alternate picking right now, which is down, up, down, up. But if you're picking all down, that kind of represents quarter notes. When you're doing alternate picking, that kind of represents like eighth notes, 16th notes, triplets, whatever else. All right. And then the last one's down here at the 2nd fret. Okay. Now notice how that one is kind of in the same position as your B minor bar chord, your root 5 B minor chord. So that's one way to think about that one. Guitar players, for some reason, a lot of us learn the minors before we learn the majors, so we think more from minor, but really it's very important to eventually understand how your major scales work and your major pentatonic. Okay. So the other little shape that you could use would be your major pentatonic extension, right? Which would be, it would start right here where that first D major pentatonic scale started at the 5th fret, but then we're kind of moving through a few of them. So if we had like that D, the D progression going. stuff like that would fit over it. So if you're new to the extension, work on that a little bit, just like that. Notice how I put my second finger there to slide. Work on resolving to those D notes right there. There's your octaves for the D. Then if you're playing electric, you can think about those bends also. All right, there's everything we need to cover for learning how to play Bad Moon Rising, the chords, the key, the strums, and then the scales that go along with it. You know, even though I don't think there's a solo on the song on the CCR version, you can definitely solo over it. It's a lot of fun. Um, Definitely, if you have a looping pedal, like I said, you can loop the chords and then practice the scales over it and also the pentatonic extension. All right, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Definitely subscribe to my YouTube if you haven't, and then please join my Patreon. Much more in-depth lessons. You get the PDFs for all this stuff. It's only $5 a month, and you'll get a lot out of it. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll be posting more soon.